and welcome to Sassy Science.
Where science is sassy. Ladies and gentlemen, this is an exciting day. Drum roll. This is our 10th episode of Sassy Science. Let's celebrate.
Yay! Oh, we're so happy. Yay.
All right, before we get started, I've got a little joke for you, Miss Hames.
Okay.
So one of your students told me that you sounded like an owl.
One of you guys? Who? I do sound like an owl.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, remember, pause us as often as needed and get your notebook and pen or pencil out right now so you are ready to learn. Episode 10 is going to be discussing human impact on the forest.
And for our pre-AP students, we have special instructions.
Pre-AP students in my class or Miss Hames's classes, you will create your own C notes in your notebook in your very next open space. If you need help with how to set up your C notes, you should have plenty of models from prior notes that we've done in class. And if you need extra help beyond that, just ask one of your teachers, Miss Hames or I, and we will show you a model to go by.
All right, let's get started.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just a quick reminder, pre-AP students, you're creating your own C notes in your notebook, and we want you to write down what you feel are the most important items of interest from the notes. Remember, you will be quizzed over this information when we assess your learning from episode 10 on Thursday, November... Wait, what date is that?
Wait, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th.
November 7th. You will be quizzed over your learning of this episode on November 7th. So take care and be thoughtful with your notes. Let's get started.
All right, we're going to discuss the human impact on the forest.
So this would be your title of your notes, pre-AP students. All right, how can the deciduous forest biome be impacted by humans or affected by humans? The word impact, we can use it with affect, or how can it be, how is it treated by humans? How is it changed by humans?
Human settlements are often found near these forests because of their rich soils. So think about it. How do you think human settlements, meaning that's where people choose to live near these forests, how do you think that affects the forest?
The biggest threat is agriculture, which is a collective word for farming, ranching, and logging.
And when you cut down the forest in any way, that is called deforestation. Cutting down the forest, cutting down the trees in any way is deforestation. And that was one of our unit vocabulary words as well.
Why is deforestation a problem? Why do we care? Why are we learning about this?
Yeah, don't trees go back? I can't speak. Don't trees grow back? I mean, what's the big deal?
Well, this is a problem because it decreases the populations of native species or organisms that live in that habitat. They're native, they belong there. Trees take a long time to grow back, and it destroys habitats.
You know, I just saw something yesterday that said for every 10 trees cut down, only 1 tree is planted. So we're not even replacing the trees that we cut down. Let's take a look at how this is going to change the food web. If we're destroying the native species and the habitats are destroyed, what difference is that going to make to the food web?
The rate of weathering and erosion will be greater with less vegetation.
Yeah, if there's nothing there to hold it down, the wind's just going to wash it away, or the rain's going to wash it away.
When people move into the area, the pollution increases. All of the equipment and machinery and cars that we use. The burning coal can cause acid rain and global warming, and it could change rainfall patterns.
All right, now let's think about catastrophic events. This is also one of our vocabulary words, I think, from the last unit. And the definition of a catastrophic event is an event that causes serious problems or damage. And here's a few of them. We have hurricanes, we have floods, we have tornadoes, we have oil spills, we have tsunamis.
And what kind of catastrophic event is most likely to affect the temperate deciduous forest? We had to take a momentary pause for station identification. Back to catastrophic events, people. All right, timely, this week we had some flooding in South Texas. I think maybe around the San Antonio area and then further south. So these are current events that affect us near and far. All right, so back to the deciduous forest. Forest fires are a catastrophic event that are most likely going to affect a deciduous forest.
All right, and how can the forest recover from a catastrophic event or any kind of disturbance? What is the process called for it to recover or to grow back? They can recover the loss of ecosystems by a process called succession. Succession.
Succession is the natural and gradual, meaning a little bit at a time, gradual changes in the types of species that live in an area.
There are two types of succession, primary succession and secondary succession. Let's talk about those two types. Oh, and this is just a picture of succession. When something happens and everything's removed, then, it grows back. So let's talk about the two different kinds.
So first, primary succession. The word primary, think about it. We went to primary school. We have primary lessons. So this is a word that indicates first. How is primary succession different from secondary succession? Begins in a place without any soil, okay, so really bare. This could be a site of a volcano. It could be a landslide when new rock is exposed. Or it could be where glaciers just uncovered in other biomes because nothing lived under the ice.
So remember, if there's no soil and then things start to grow back, that's primary. It's first, because first there has to be soil. And it starts with the arrival of living things such as lichens and mosses that do not need soil to survive. There isn't any soil there, so those are the things that grow. And the first species, or the first living things to arrive, we call that the pioneer species. Think about the pioneers were the first ones to go live out on the prairie. So the pioneer species is the first ones.
Here's a picture of lichen, and it looks like it's actually growing on a rock. And like Miss Hames mentioned, there's no soil required here. This is a form of moss. It's very pretty, kind of like a blanket, and it can grow on a rock or on a tree. No soil required. Those are pioneer species.
All right, and then the second type of succession is called secondary, and like the primary is the first, secondary would be something it already has soil. Like secondary school, you've already gone to school. It already has something to start.
So it begins in a place that already has soil and was once the home of living organisms. It occurs faster than primary succession, and it has different pioneer species because soil is already there. A good example is after a forest fire, grasses will grow back, but forests are destroyed.
All right, now we're to the summary part of your C notes. Here's some questions that you can answer to help summarize what we have learned and talked about in this session.
All right, summary question. First up, what is succession? This would be a great time to refine your definition of succession. Maybe put it in your own words.
Also, next question, What is a pioneer species? And you know what? If you didn't get it written down or you don't remember, you can always rewind and go back and reread that part, listen to what we said, and write your answer down. What is a pioneer species?
Okay, next up, summarizing. When and where does primary succession occur or take place?
And then, when or where does secondary succession occur?
And then lastly, to summarize your wonderful learning, how are primary and secondary succession similar and how are they different? It's important to do both similarities and differences. Some of us can do one better than the other, but we want to do both similarities and differences.
In fact, you might even want to draw a Venn diagram in your notebook and chart out the similarities and differences between primary and secondary succession. The Venn, remember, is just the two circles that intersect, and the intersect part is where you put what they have in common, and put primary on one side and secondary on the other to talk about how they are alike and how they are different.
And the Venn diagram is a great strategy, Ms. Hames. I love that you mentioned that. Students, let's make your similarity section a little bigger. We tend to overlap those circles and make that similarity section really tiny, but we want to make some more room in there.
Yes, and try to have 3 to 5 things that they have in common. All right, looks like that's it for episode 10.
Have a great day, and remember, this has been Sassy Science.
Where science is sassy.